Hi everybody, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be discussing my favorite subject, Twilight, and specifically the very exciting news, very exciting speculation that we might be getting a new Twilight book this year. You might be wondering, Meredith, it's September. Surely they don't have enough time in the year to announce a new Twilight book and have it still come out this year. I feel it's my responsibility to inform you that that is indeed possible. I'm gonna say this sentence and I need you guys not to laugh at me. I am convinced that on September 11th, Stephenie Meyer is going to announce the new book. I know, it sounds like a meme, but I swear, I'm convinced. And in this video, I'm gonna convince you. But before we dive in, I have to tell you guys that I am so sure that a new Twilight book is getting announced on the 11th, that me and my friend Mersha, it's Mersha here on YouTube and she streams under Mersha Games on Twitch. Fingers crossed, if everything works out, she and I are going to be multi-streaming our reaction to the live stream where we believe that Stephenie Meyer is going to announce the new book. So again, if all goes according to plan, the stream will be here on my YouTube channel as well as on Mersha Games on Twitch. But if at 4 p.m. Pacific on September 11th, you show up to my YouTube channel and the stream isn't there, check Mersha Games, because depending on what platform they're streaming it on, YouTube has way stricter copyright guidelines for streams than Twitch does. So we'll just have to see how it all works out. But I'll keep you guys updated on the community tab as well. So if you want to come hang out, set your calendar for 4 p.m. Pacific on September 11th. It makes me giggle every time I say it. I'm sorry. Quick asterisk, I am just going to be speaking pretty freely about the Twilight series. So if you do not want any of the Twilight series spoiled, this is not going to be the book for you. This is a video. Did you get lost? Because I might have gotten lost just then. Just so everyone's aware, this is a video. And it might not be the video for you if you don't want Twilight spoiled. Let's discuss. The original Twilight book was published on October 5th, 2005, and the world would never be the same. The following books in the series came out year over year. So Twilight was released in 2005, New Moon was released in 2006, Eclipse was released in 2007, and Breaking Dawn was released in 2008. Then in 2010, Stephenie Meyer published The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner, which is a novella that takes place during the events of Eclipse that follows a young vampire from the moment they were turned into a vampire until they were killed by the Volturi after the battle with the Cullens. The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner was published to celebrate the 5-year anniversary of the release of the first book. Then in 2015, at the 10-year anniversary, she put out Life and Death, which is the gender-bended AU of Twilight where the human is a boy and the vampire is a girl. And then in 2020, she released Midnight Sun at the 15-year anniversary. So as you can see, there's a pattern forming. Every 5 years, we get a new Twilight book. But that's not my only evidence. If that was all there was to it, I wouldn't be making the video, trust me. For starters, late last year, Stephenie Meyer added a quote to her website. The quote reads, "I'm going to be wherever you are, you'll get used to it." Way back in the day when the original series was being published, Stephenie Meyer was known to leave Easter eggs around sometimes. This quote does not exist in any of Stephenie Meyer's currently published novels. I'm trusting the girly pops a little bit on this one. I didn't actually go back through the series myself and check or read Stephenie Meyer's other books, but the fangirls are informing all of us online that that quote is nowhere in anything that Stephenie Meyer has ever written. So it's assumed to be from a new book. And because we're at the 20-year anniversary for Twilight, and she's been putting out a new Twilight book every 5 years, you can see why people assumed that the quote was going to be in a new Twilight book that was coming out this year. It also sounds a lot like something Jacob would say, unfortunately, because it does also sort of sound like he's not respecting somebody's boundaries, which, as we know, is a little bit of a habit for him. Sorry to my Team Jacob friends. But easily one of the most anticipated and yet feared potential books that Stephenie Meyer could release in the Twilight universe is a book about what happens to Renesmee when she's older. Just in case you're not familiar with the original series, but you're watching this video anyway, Renesmee is the half-vampire, half-human demon child of Edward and Bella, and Jacob, who is a werewolf, imprints on the baby. Now, it is stressed many a time in the series that imprinting is not necessarily inherently a romantic connection. I stand on the point I made when I was making all my videos about the Twilight series, which is that if you have to put that much effort into emphasizing that this grown man is not in love with this baby, we maybe lost the plot somewhere and should rethink the direction we're taking the series. Nevertheless, Jacob does imprint on Renesmee during the series, which means that she becomes the center of his universe and her needs become the most important needs to him above all else. And while it's really repeatedly stress that this connection isn't in and of itself romantic. There is foreshadowing in Eclipse where one of the other werewolves imprints on a toddler. And Bella's pretty horrified by this, and Jacob has to stress that it's not a romantic connection at this point in time. Once again, if you have to emphasize that, we really should think hard about the artistic choices we're making. He essentially says that the werewolf will be whatever she needs him to be at whatever stage of life she's in. So while she's a child, he will be very paternal for her. But when she gets older, the connection probably will become romantic the way all the other imprinting relationships at that point in time had been. Bella then asks Jacob what happens if she doesn't want to be with him. And Jacob says, well, that would be really hard on him, but he of course would respect it because her needs are the most important thing to him. But that it would be hard to resist that kind of love and devotion. This, combined with some other foreshadowing and little comments made in Breaking Dawn, led me to believe that Stephenie Meyer was queuing up a love triangle for Renesmee between Jacob and Nahuel, who's the only other half vampire, half human on Earth. And that she was leaving herself an out of Leah as a potential partner for Jacob if she ended up deciding not to have Renesmee and Jacob end up together. But you can imagine that when people read this series, they assumed that what was going to happen was that Renesmee was going to grow up and her and Jacob were going to end up together romantically. And people very rightfully pointed out that this is a little thing called grooming. I'm not a psychiatrist, so I'm not going to dive too deep into the definition of what grooming is. My understanding is that the word grooming can be used in any situation where an abuser is manipulating a victim into being in the right headspace for them to be abused. But it is often used to refer to situations where adults are close with children when they are under the age of consent and bond with them and sometimes even start up romantic relationships with them, but just always keep this barrier where the relationship never turns physical until the person turns 18. So no crimes are technically broken, but there still very much is that power dynamic. And so you can imagine that people were somewhat justifiably horrified at the potential for them to end up romantically linked. However, I do genuinely believe that most dedicated fans of the series would feel somewhat upset or cheated by Stephenie Meyer not having Jacob and Renesmee be endgame. And so there's this very weird mentality surrounding the Jacob and Renesmee book where it doesn't really feel like the fandom knows what they want from Stephenie Meyer. And there's been this running gag that Stephenie Meyer is somewhat hiding from this book, and that's why we've gotten The Short Second Life of Brie Tanner, Life and Death, and Midnight Sun all before she has touched what felt like the most obvious follow-up to the original series. Now, I don't actually think she's hiding from this book at all. Stephenie Meyer has long shown quite a few facts about herself. The first is that she doesn't really care what the fandom thinks. She is always going to write what she thinks is the most realistic things for the characters to do. That is her guiding compass. That is her North Star. That is always what she uses to make her character decisions. She doesn't really care if what the characters are doing are ethical. She cares that it's realistic to who they are. For better or for worse at times. She's garnered a lot of criticism for that. But in my reread of the series, I noted that it was really surprising to me actually how much Edward's behavior in the books is framed to be a bad thing, and that reading the books as an adult actually somewhat changed my view of some of Edward's more controlling behavior, because it doesn't actually feel to me like Stephenie Meyer framed that out to be romantic at all. And in fact, Bella checks him on his behavior and he changes for the better for her because he loves her. But all of that to say that Stephenie Meyer has never really cared if she wrote the most ethical characters possible or if everything they did was perfect or great. And so I don't really think she's been shying away from that book. Stephenie Meyer had been working on Midnight Sun for a very, very long time by the time it actually released. In August of 2008, the same year that Breaking Dawn was published, 12 chapters of an early draft of Midnight Sun leaked. All of a sudden, the whole world had seen it. It was just a draft. She wasn't anywhere near done with it yet. So you can imagine it wasn't at the quality of her normal writing, and it was unfortunately getting torn apart online. This whole situation upset Stephenie Meyer so much that she said that she had to put the book completely down. She wasn't really able to work on it. She has said that she doesn't think the leak was malicious. Although she hasn't named the people that she thinks are responsible for it, she has said that she doesn't think that they meant for it to get out. And at some point said that her goal was for her to go 2 years without anybody mentioning it to her, and that if she managed to go 2 years without anybody saying anything, at that point she would feel like people had completely forgotten about it, and that would free her up to work on the manuscript again. I was trying to track down if Stephenie Meyer had ever said when she was originally intending Midnight Sun to publish, and a lot of places are saying it was supposed to release in 2008. If it was leaked in August of 2008 and it was a draft at that point in time, I find it very, very hard to believe that she was going to have it finished and go through the whole publishing process and be ready to be in people's hands by December. So I don't know when Stephenie Meyer was originally intending for Midnight Sun to be published. However, it was eventually finally published in 2020. I think that the Midnight Sun leak just threw everything off. She was going to do Midnight Sun as the next book, then it got leaked. She did 2 shorter or smaller books that were easier for her to work on for the 5th anniversary and the 10th anniversary, did Midnight Sun for the 20th anniversary, and now I think she's back on the schedule of what she was originally planning to do once the original series concluded. She shared a few years ago that it's her intention to write 2 more Twilight books. As I've already mentioned, she has put out a new book every 5 years, and that quote on the website very much sounds like Jacob, and a lot of people believe that the most obvious next book for her to write, and for sure what one of these next 2 books has to be, is a Renesmee as an adult story that tells us what happens with her and who she ends up with. But you might be like, Meredith, we got really confused, we got really lost somewhere. We were talking about the potential for a new Twilight book. You've been talking about Jacob and Renesmee for like 10 minutes. The quote on her website, again, is, "I'm going to be wherever you are, you'll get used to it." Many people feel like this is very obviously a Jacob quote. And so him having imprinted on Renesmee, obviously he's going to want to be around her, he's going to want to protect her, and saying something like this to her totally sounds like his voice, and it sounds like something he would say. So when this quote got put on the website, not only did people start to feel definitively, yes, we are getting a new Twilight book this year, but it probably is going to be the famed, the feared Jacob and Renesmee book that we're finally going to find out whether or not they end up together romantically, and if so, just how many crimes are committed in the process. I do actually think that there are ways she could write a Jacob and Renesmee romance that wouldn't be that messed up, but all of them would revolve around Jacob leaving for a large duration of Renesmee's childhood and re-entering her life as an adult, having not raised her. I don't think, unfortunately, that the Jacob that we saw in those first 4 books would do something like that, and so I don't think that's how the book's gonna go down. But I hope that it is, because I really don't want to have to make a video saying, Stephenie Meyer, why did we do this? So a quote implied that we're gonna get a new book this year, and it does kind of sound like something Jacob would say. What's with 9/11? Why are you saying it's gonna get announced on 9/11? Because about a month ago, Stephenie Meyer announced out of nowhere, truly actually out of nowhere, that she was going to be at the Twilight Festival in Forks, Washington. And in her announcement, she said that she is going to be doing a Q&A at the welcome event, and that if all goes according to plan, they're going to be live streaming it, and that there are going to be surprises. The deep-seated, dedicated Twilight fandom immediately erupted into speculation that she is indeed going to be announcing the new book on that date in that live stream. I've already joked that if all goes according to plan, I'm going to be streaming it on this channel as well with Mersha. Part of why we're kind of like, oh, I don't know how this is going to go, is because they've said they're live streaming it, but they haven't said how or on what platform. There's no link yet. There's no confirmation. People are just kind of loosely saying, yeah, she's doing this Q&A and we think we're going to live stream it if all goes according to plan. No matter what, I'm going to be on Mersha's stream and we're going to be having a blast, so you guys should definitely tune in. But hopefully, if all goes according to plan for them, then all will go according to plan for us too, and we'll be able to live react to the Q&A. Now, you might at this point be thinking, Meredith, it's September. Book lead times are usually pretty long. The end of the year is coming up, which is kind of crazy to think about. But there's only 4 months left in the year. If they're announcing it now, wouldn't it be for early next year? Au contraire, all of the specialty anniversary Twilight books have been announced about 2 months before the book's release date, with little to no marketing run whatsoever. The fan base is really big and really dedicated, and any Twilight book is going to fly off the shelf. If it's written by Stephenie Meyer and it's in the Twilight universe, people are going to buy it. And so they don't really bother to do big marketing pushes, and they don't usually give themselves that much time between announcing the book and release. So it's entirely realistic, if not likely, that if they do announce a new book, that it will come out here in the next few months. I believe that the new book is going to be announced on September 11th. I believe that it's going to be the Jacob and Renesmee book, and I believe firmly that it is going to come out this year, but on exactly what date? That I don't know for sure. This is just pure speculation on my part. absolutely zero evidence for any of this whatsoever. We have entered the vibes portion of the video. The 20-year anniversary of the release of the original book is on October 5th, so it's possible that that's the date they're going to release it on. However, I actually do think that is too soon. As much as I just harped on how they usually don't give themselves that big a lead time between announcing the book and releasing it, I do believe, just given how massive this series is and how many fans there are out there of it and how much everything leaks online these days and it's so hard to keep information quiet, I do believe that if at this point in time they were mass producing a new Twilight book, that too many people would need to be aware of that and that we would know about it already more concretely. So I believe that they have to give themselves enough time to print all of the copies of the books and then send them out to bookstores. Oh my god, you guys are never gonna believe this. I just went to consult my Twilight calendar. I have this calendar that shows all of the important dates in the Twilight series. Guys, September 11th is Renesmee's birthday. First of all, 9/11 would have already happened at the point in time that she was writing these books, so she voluntarily chose to make Renesmee's birthday September 11th. That is hilarious. But come on, her birthday's September 11th? Oh, they're so announcing the Renesmee book. Oh my goodness, she loves Easter eggs like that. Wait a minute, is October 5th not the release of the first Twilight book? That's what the internet told me. So my calendar has the first Twilight book release on September 27th. Okay, so who's wrong here? Hang on, actually, let's just consult the source material, shall we? Also, I was sold on an Instagram ad to get these fancy hardcover dust jackets. What is the company called? Oh, it doesn't say on the actual printing of the dust jackets. Okay, well, if I can find the company I ordered them from, I'll link it in the description. I'm sure I'll forget because I always say that and then I forget, so comment and remind me if it's not in the description. First hardcover edition, October 2005. Okay. All right, so this calendar's wrong. So now I'm wondering if Renesmee's birthday is actually on September 11th. How disappointing would that be? September 11th, 2006. Okay. Guys, it's Renesmee's birthday. The talk she's giving is on Renesmee's birthday. But anyway, this calendar's wrong. The Twilight book release date is not on September 27th. It was on October 5th. But I've already said I think that's too soon. Oh, I knew it. I knew it. I think I've cracked the code. Also, my chair lowered. They recently announced that for the 20th anniversary, all 5 of the original movies are going to be re-released into theaters 5 days in a row. I do personally wish it was a one-day marathon, but I get it. Not everybody's gonna want to spend 10 hours in a theater watching Twilight. I would love doing that, but they're probably gonna get more people doing it 5 days instead of 1. But anyway, so from October 29th to November 1st, they're going in order, and all 5 of the original movies are going to be shown in theaters. And so I was wondering if there were any dates in November that were important, and the original release of the Twilight movie was in 2008. I love how I just have this nail hanging. I was having trouble getting it out of the calendar. This week of November 16th is a very, very important week in the Twilight universe. Breaking Dawn Part 2 was released on the 16th. Breaking Dawn Part 1 was released on the 19th. New Moon was released on the 20th, and the original Twilight was released on the 21st. And the 21st is a Friday. I do believe that the book will get released sometime in November, and if I had to pinpoint an exact date, it would be on the anniversary of the movie getting released, which is November 21st. But again, that is on pure vibes alone. I have nothing to back that up. Also, just because I am making a whole entire video surrounding all of the exciting Twilight news, I will also inform you guys that there is a very pretty specialty box set being released for the 20th anniversary. Yes, I have it pre-ordered. Yes, I already know I have 2 full complete sets of the Twilight series behind me. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I'm gonna have 3. God forbid a girl have hobbies. Hello, I'm filming my Twilight video right now.
Okay.
You are never gonna believe this.
What?
Renesmee's birthday is on 9/11, canonically.
What year was she born?
2006.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but it's like, how crazy, like the talk's on 9/11 and her birthday is canonically on 9/11.
Yeah.
It's gotta be the Renesmee book. I'm so convinced.
Ew. I hate it, but like I'll read it, but I hate it.
Never forget.
Yeah, half vampire, half
Is she half vampire?
Yeah.
No, she's a quarter.
No, she's half. Edward is a full vampire.
But Bella was half vampire when she had her.
No, she was human.
Oh.
Wait, I'm so excited about this. This is gonna be so fun. I'll see you on Thursday.
Okay, see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
That is going to be all for me today, you guys. I'm so excited. I'm really actually so convinced at this point that I probably will be disappointed if it doesn't get announced. but I can be an adult about it. What do you guys think? Did I convince you? Are we in agreement? Let me know in the comments down below, and make sure you mark your calendars. 4 p.m. on 9/11. Come hang out with me and Marsha on stream while we find out whether or not we're getting a new Twilight book this year. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!